Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes. I look a little askew here. I was going to try to change it, and then Yolanda hit the button, and then here we are.
Hey,
Hey, it's Miss Astrology Day. How are you?
hi.
How you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really good. I'm glad we're wrapping up winter.
Are we? Because if
I,
you looked at the weather on the East Coast
I'm not
this
looking at
week,
that. I'm not looking at that.
okay, okay,
Where I'm
okay.
at, where it feels like today, anyways, this week that we're wrapping up winter.
Well, I know that you're a baseball fan, as am I. And
Mhm.
when they said pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training, I was like, okay, let's go.
Yay! Here
Yeah,
we go.
I'm ready.
Yes,
And the weather in Texas has been really
it's
nice.
been nice. It's been good to us. So don't say it too loud. Everybody wants to come and be here, but it's
I
been good
know.
this year.
There's too much other to keep folks away.
Yes, yes,
There's that.
right. Agree.
Um, Today was another beautiful day in North Texas. How about there in the
It
Southland?
was nice. It was kind of warm, so it's
Oh,
you just never know what you're gonna get.
right. Yeah.
Sometimes it's still colder in the house than it is outside. I'm like,
Yeah,
wait a
for sure.
minute.
Yeah, yeah. And I woke up and I started sneezing yesterday, and I woke up and I was phlegmy and coughing and
Mm,
stuff. But going outside and getting some vitamin D and just
yes,
enjoying the sun, it made for a really nice day.
yes, it did.
Even with all the stuff like because I had my earbuds in, and Ward took us to lunch today, and I was trying to be present, but I couldn't because I was transfixed by what was going on television, and in with the
Right.
with the trial in Atlanta. It just at first it was maddening, because what they're trying to do is to disqualify Fonnie Willis, right?
Right.
From the Trump trial and the
Right.
election interference. And by the time she got off, we were like, okay, all right. And
Right.
and now we're like, it's a lie. I'm like, okay, all right, come on, Fonnie.
Let's see.
Yeah, what you got? So I tried to look up her birth date, Ms. Astrology, and all it says it gives the year that she was born, but it doesn't indicate.
Yeah, I see something. I pulled up some stuff. She's a Scorpio.
Oh,
And yeah, so and I'm seeing that it's funny, they're coming out of hiding, it seems like, with an Aquarius moon and even the North Node in Aquarius. So I think for her, there may be a lot of things that she knows and isn't even sure how to like reveal it or
mhm,
talk about it because kind of like doesn't want to disrupt like the collective. Of course, she wants everybody to know the truth, but I think that, and I have to be honest, I'm not really familiar with everything that's going on, but just looking at her astrology, it's like just bring all that stuff that you think that you need to keep to yourself,
mhm,
all that information, just bring it all out. As a Scorpio, it's like bring them out, like say it. And then even that Aquarius moon, it's knowledge and information and technology and futuristic kind of stuff. So maybe she has things like in emails or on the computer or something like that that have information that's kind of been put away
mhm.
that it just let it all come out. So but Aquarius moons, Cat Williams, there's a lot of
Okay,
Aquarius moons. They are coming with some stuff right now, and Pluto just went into Aquarius. I think we're going to hear from them all the way until November, and
really?
then they'll go quiet for a little bit, and then they're going to step into we're going to see a lot of Aquarians kind of rise up next year, I think.
Well, maybe that'll happen next year because it doesn't look like the trial against Donald Trump is going to that particular trial is going to get started anytime soon. Especially if they have as many roadblocks as some of those defendants, like this one guy, Morgan, who his attorneys are the one that's trying to dig up all the dirt to disqualify Fonnie Willis, and so. I don't think it's going to happen before the election, the trial. And
Mm,
as a matter of fact, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it looks like the only one that may start anytime soon is the hush money trial with Stormy Daniels, which is,
right.
uh, you know,
I should
for
look at
the
Stormy Daniels' chart. I already know Donald Trump's, but I don't know
right,
Stormy Daniels.
right,
Y'all know what I think about Trump, so
yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So, We've talked a little sports, we talked a little politics and weather. So let us get to the what you need to know. Aprylete is on. She's traveling today, so she's unable to join us, and I'm really sorry because this is her season.
We're getting ready to go into her season. She needs this.
Yes, for sure. Maybe she's able to catch us online. Um, but Aprilette is our mental health and wellness contributor, and she is does a really good job of it, and talks in this particular issue. Wrote about a progressive move made by the state of New Jersey to help school age children in dealing and processing their feelings and dealing with grief.
Mm,
The governor of New Jersey has signed this bill, which now is making a program available and money available to help children who are dealing with grief in their lives. And I remember I was when I was a kid and my father died, and people are just saying, if you don't talk about it much, it'll be okay. And my mother's like, you got to deal with this.
right.
This is because if you don't, confront your feelings and express them,
Absolutely.
then it's going to come back on you. And she
Mm.
was absolutely right. But other people were like, oh, we don't talk about that. And I was like, well, in my
Well, what
house
do we
we
do
do.
with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's a
What
thing.
what do we do with it? Where do we place it?
Right.
Until we're ready to talk about it, and then it compounds and gets bigger and bigger, and that boulder before you know it, you can't move it
Right.
anywhere. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so this is what's really good about a lot of the mental health and mindfulness classes and things like that. And I know this is something that is near and dear to Yolanda's heart, and in promoting mindfulness with our kids. And it was something that has really kind of gathered steam over the last couple of years. But, previous to the pandemic, for sure, they were more
Right.
like, it's a little too touchy-feely. It's a little but, the more we talk about kids and bullying and
Right.
and having other, physical issues or reading difficulties like,
Hmm.
dyslexia and things like that. All of these things are coming to the forefront, and kids who are on the spectrum and what have you,
Right.
they're
And
need
grief.
yeah, and then
And dealing with
they
grief, because that's a
yeah,
real thing. And it can even be like grief from losing a pet,
yeah,
or a parent or any of that, or sometimes grief from moving, losing your friends in school.
right,
Like, we
right,
want them to just get over it, and moving is one of the most stressful situations even an adult
for
will
sure.
go through.
Yeah,
And so I think that's really good to have that more in the schools, just to deal with, because I think a lot of times that does end up coming out either in their grades or in their behavior or.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I know there are a lot of stories about people who, when you talk about moving, a lot of stories about people who grew up in the military. They're an
Mhm.
army brat or whatever they want to call them, and how that kind of toughened them up because every couple of years, every several months to a couple of years, you had to move on and you had to
Right.
develop this steely personality in order to make new friends, get involved, and then steel yourself to the fact that you're going to lose them, lost.
Right.
And so it's good that we're talking about this, and maybe it is that parents had to go through it first and understand it, and those who didn't have to put it away um,
Right.
are able to help their kids, and maybe this is what happened with the governor of New Jersey and recognizing that this is a necessity that we need in all of our schools, not just in New Jersey, but it would be
Right.
great if this could be a policy around the country.
Absolutely. It's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. It is a
Yeah,
very good thing.
it's a
So,
good thing.
we'll see what happens there. This is one of the stories that we have in the What You Need to Know newsletter, and this is our Monday through Friday newsletter. It is absolutely free. We'd love to have you subscribe. Please go to SybilWilkes.com, give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. We had a story all ready to go, and then the number one story, and then we had to flip it and remove the story, talking about which was in advance of the Fonnie Willis trial being called to the stand today, and just kind of setting it up, teeing it up, as they say. But the shooting and the mass
Right.
shooting in Kansas City
Right.
kind of took that all out. And Yolanda's like, "Stop the presses! Here we go."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so we did that, and that was a really tough thing for me to talk about Because I just done the story about the Lakewood shooting in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And then came this, and it's like, and the thing that I said after the Lakewood shooting was, where do you go anymore? We now have had countless
Right.
shootings in churches. Uh, just talking about
Grocery stores. Right.
the
Right.
Uvalde shooting, and
Mm-hmm.
you kiss your kids goodbye, and pray that you will be able to hug them in the evening, and that nothing will keep them. And here was a case of one woman. Luckily enough, if you can say luckily enough, there
Mm-hmm.
was only one murder in this
In
this
the police.
shooting, which turned out to be, they believe it's not domestic terrorism, it's nothing like that. It turns out that there's beef.
Wow.
They believe that there was beef between some individuals and that they had guns and they were going to take it out on each other at the end of the Kansas City Chiefs victory parade near
Wow.
Union Station. And unfortunately, 20 to 30 people were involved, and one woman was killed. And this is what was really near and dear to my heart, because this is something that, when you're in radio, and you are lucky enough to live in a championship team, a lot, and this wasn't her case, but this is what immediately came to mind for me. The radio station's like, great, you get out there and we'll set you up,
Mm,
and you can broadcast from there
from
and
that parade.
give us the
Right.
whole scene. And she
Wow.
was not there as a part of her radio job, but she was a 44-year-old mom of two, a DJ on a Latin music station, and was just one of those people that everybody loved. And they said she was a person that would automatically, you knew, euphemistically speaking, she would take a bullet for you.
Wow.
And so she, unfortunately, the stories kind of vary. Either she died on the scene or on her way to the hospital.
Wow.
But there were so many kids that were
Right.
wounded.
Because it's such a family event. I read somewhere that it's the most called off day from work
Called off day, and there was no school that day
on that
in
day.
Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
that's really
so, they said some 800,000 to a million people congregating and celebrating their back-to-back championship, and that was the end result. So that was a story that affected me. And also, at the same time, this is something that we put in the body of the story as well, about the shooting that occurred at a high school in Atlanta, in which four young men coming out of school, a car driving by, and shot them. And luckily, they were not seriously injured. But um, it's just like, where do you go with this?
in the
And
house.
it's just, but but
Unfortunately.
but here's the other thing: there are people who are just innocently sitting in their
Right.
homes, and
Right.
gunfire breaks out, and it's like,
Right.
it's just crazy. It just boggles the mind, and once again brings to mind of what are we doing about gun control?
Right. That
How
part.
how is it that there are 3 people who have been, taken into custody as they are looking into the stories, and possibly having beef? 2 of them are juveniles, so they don't give their names. And
Wow.
how is it that these kids
Of access.
have
Mhm.
access to guns? Now, in Texas, we know what
We
that
know
looks
how they
like.
have access, right.
In the state of Michigan, the kid that killed 4 children in his high school, and his parents are now, standing trial for this. I just don't. The thing that I always go back to is: are you registered to vote, and
Right.
are you planning to vote? Because the people in your state are the ones, and oftentimes in your city, are the ones that are allowing access to weapons.
To weapons. Yeah, and I think it's really important that we make sure that we're voting in for our local and
Yes,
our interests, our own
absolutely,
interests. And in the local
absolutely.
elections
Yep.
are what are really, really so important for our that's where we make the most impact. And it
Yes,
just
for
goes
sure.
from there.
For
Mhm.
sure, it is. And we talk about how important it is to vote for the president, but that is so far removed from our day to day,
Right.
unless you're lucky enough to have your student loans forgiven, right?
Right.
But the
Right.
further down you go on the ballot, the closer those offices are to your day to day life.
Right.
You know,
Starts with
um,
us and goes up from there. Mhm.
Exactly, exactly. So you're talking about In our case, it could be the county board. It could
Mm-hmm.
be your local school board.
Right. The
All of these people are
constable.
making
Mm-hmm.
decisions about the books you have in your libraries,
Right.
the teachers that you're bringing in, and what you're allowing. If you are the parent of a transgender child or something like that, all
Mm-hmm.
of these things have a greater effect on you. Or if you're in a school where they don't allow it and you want your child to have access to friends who are going through these things,
Right.
and so all of these decisions that are made on a lower level really affect
Yep.
you, and those are especially the elections that you should be
Right.
participating in, right?
Right. Just go out and
um
vote for all of it.
yeah, yeah.
All of
and
it.
and every time you have an opportunity to
Every
vote,
time. Bring someone with you.
bring your kids. Yeah, for sure. Now, did you do that when your kids were younger? Did you take them with you when
Oh
you
yeah,
went to voting?
they went with
Yeah.
me and my mom too. So I would
Yeah.
just take my mom, and it was just my son is really really close to my mom. So anytime she was leaving the house, he just knew he had to go too. So yeah, they definitely went all the time, and my son's going to be voting this year for the first time. So we're
Oh,
excited
that's
about that. Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
great.
it's like a
Yeah.
thing. Go out to eat, wear our little stickers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, back in my day, we didn't have stickers, but it was just cool that because we lived across the street from a public school, we just go. I would just go with my mom or my dad across the street and vote, and I was looking over to see who they're voting for. My mother's covering up. My dad's like, "Yeah, I voted for."
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're not supposed to tell who you voted for.
right,
And they're
right.
like, who did you vote for? I'm like,
My dad's like, "You don't have to tell me, but I will
we'll
tell
tell you.
you." Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind of thing we talk about. That's a really important issue for me is making sure that everyone is registered to vote and that we do something about these gun laws. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
and get the gun lobbies out of the pockets of our politicians.
Absolutely.
And if
That
that
part.
means voting them out and putting people who are going to be more responsible regarding guns and our ability to own them and to, in the case of the Houston situation, the red flags that were everywhere with this
Everywhere.
woman.
Right. There's got, I think also there has to be a better process to being registered and being able to own a gun. Like we can't take this so lightly
Right,
that, I don't think it should be just a background check. Like I have to get a letter for my dog from a doctor to say
right.
that, why not also have their a test or some kind of mental something where a
Yeah,
physician needs to sign off or something more because it's not the backgrounds, it's these people's mental health
that's
that
exactly
is the
right.
problem.
That's right. That's exactly right. So those are the things we talk about in the newsletter, and we'd love to have you subscribe. As I said, SybilWilkes.com. We'll have it in your email box. You give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday. And we have really great young contributors giving their points of view on a lot of topics, a lot of stories that you may not hear or see anywhere else. We have social justice with Coy Malone, politics with Cameron Riley, LGBTQ plus issues with Quinn Townsend Riley, and of course, as we mentioned today, without our dear Aprylete and mental health and wellness. So let's move to what's really going on, and that is all about you, Ms. Astrology. And
Pisces
it's
season.
Pisces season,
It's on the way.
and
We are officially wrapping up the cycle, the year. I know that we're like, oh no, it is the new year. And well, not technically,
mhm,
not
mhm,
according to the planets. We have the calendar that we use for us, and then the seasons use a whole nother calendar. So we're getting ready to not only wrap up in winter, but an actual cycle, a 12-month cycle where the sun has made its way, or the earth has made its way around the sun and
mhm,
hit all of the signs. So it's really like a recap, if you
mhm,
will.
mhm,
And I do think that what a lot of us are going to feel right now, and I like to talk about us individual because I think it's going to be so important for us to, I've been saying a lot lately, the best way to have a strong community is to have a strong home. And the
mhm,
best way to have a strong home is to be your strongest self. And so this is why I think that as I like to talk about what we do on an individual basis because it has this bigger impact. But it's time to reflect on what has actually happened over the last 12 months and really since Mars and the new year. for the new calendar year, what we've really worked on and been excited about. And it's like Capricorn season came in. We got that good Mars energy. We're doing
Mhm.
things, attaining goals, like we're sticking to routines and stuff like that. Maybe some of us aren't seeing the results just yet, or we're like, what
Right.
is going on? Or things are still missing. Well, we know that faith without works is dead,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've done the work.
Mhm.
Now we got to put some faith on it, y'all. That's what Pisces season is all about. It's really time to like be thankful, be grateful, pray, meditate over the seeds that we've planted, the work that we've done, really allow ourselves to imagine. Pisces is a sign of, I believe, the dreamer, imagination. And this is a time of year, especially when Mercury goes into Pisces, because it does not like to transit Pisces. Pisces, a water sign, Mercury likes details, organizations, facts like that. Pisces is like, I feel so confused. What the? Like, so it's not about like still pressing on. We always talk about this. We do things in these little spurts, these little cycles. We've been working for
Mhm.
the last 2 months. We've been doing things. Now let's rest. Let's believe. Let's pray about it. Let's give it to God, spirit, universe, whatever you say. I say God. Give it to your higher being. Believe and have faith. And then when spring comes, when Aries season, we're gonna have a whole new set of energy. The sun is gonna finally have some fire energy, and we're gonna see the harvest of the
Right.
things that we've not
Of
only
you.
worked
Yeah.
for, but also prayed over
Yeah.
and believed in.
So, one of my favorite book titles, which I always think that you should use, is the most famous Pisces is.
Jesus. I believe Jesus was a Pisces. Nobody convinced me otherwise. And when I
Mhm.
start talking about it in my little astrology groups, they're like, okay, I get it. I think that you're right. It's that the Pisces, the believer, and then the opposite of Pisces was Virgo, the virgin, the
Mhm.
perfect one. Like, come on.
Mhm.
And then it's the 12th, it's at the end, and it's like, you know what? Give it to God. From here, we're just gonna give it
Yeah.
to God. There's nothing more that you can do. And it's even like when I give readings and talk to my clients, I always say, I believe in the 10% of the tithe, and I don't just think it's money. I think it's, faith. You're gonna have to put some faith in there. You're gonna have to put some belief. There's just some things that it's just between you and God, or it's just up to God. So
Mhm.
right now it's just, get ready to just pray about it, believe that it can happen, continue to manifest. A lot of us are working on our spirituality, our beliefs, if maybe rituals or going back to church or anything like that. Saturn is also in Pisces. So this is an opportunity really to mature and level up in a
Mhm.
spiritual way. Now, I think for some of us, we might see ourselves being restricted, like having a really hard time with that, Pisces. But you're going to have to do your best. I think the water signs are going to really struggle in Pisces season, but this is the best time for you to get as disciplined as you can. I don't want this to sound rude, but it's time to grow up and be
Right.
mature about things. It's going to be okay. Like, let's keep it moving.
I
Yeah.
think there's also some alignment between Pisces season, and also the fact that we're going through Lent.
Yes, absolutely. Because Easter is always the first Sunday after the first full moon in spring.
Mhm.
So once spring gets here, we have a full moon. That following Sunday is always Easter. So it's like, oh, you want to put a date on with the seasons and with the full moons for Easter for a Christian holiday, but we don't
Mm.
want to believe
Right.
astrology.
Right.
We don't
Right.
want to study astrology, but that's okay. But yeah, there's always alignment with so many of the holidays because it's all about like the seasons and the planets, really the sun and the moon mostly. Hmm.
So we talk about the most famous Pisces. Who else should we be looking at, or who
Well, I
else?
think a close runner up is our girl Rihanna.
Yeah,
We
you think of Jesus Christ and then Rihanna,
And then
right
you
there.
think of Rihanna, right? She's one of my favorite. I love me some Riri. And when I look at her chart, I love this. I think that Rihanna is really in a position to where she's just really feeling good right now.
Mhm. Oh, just a little bit. She is going through a good time, a good season. It seems like even from last year with the Super Bowl, she was doing, she was at the height there, and she announced her second pregnancy, and her businesses continue to flourish, and she's just really going through a really great time. It seems like with her family. I don't know, I don't need to know all of her personal business with her baby daddy and all of that kind of stuff, but I think that she really is going through a really great time, and maybe this is just a reflection of her Pisces birth sign. I don't know. I don't know. As we hope to get Ms. Astrology back on with us, just asking people if you have any questions or you'd like to ask Ms. Astrology, or you want to challenge, or just some observations that you have, just right here, come on in. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll address them. And even if if it's not, I can't tell you anything about Pisces people other than a couple of friends or a couple of wet fish, but who are sorry, who are Pisces. But definitely, if you have any other questions or observations of things that are going on that you want to talk about, we can definitely take those too, because Miss Astrology is one of the most aware people and keeps up to date on all those things that are going on. And while I have you here, just ask you all if anybody did have a chance to watch the trial today with the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis. Now it was a little slow going when Mr. Wade was up to bat when he was called to testify, especially after a friend of theirs who lived in one of Miss Willis's homes, a condo, and she attested to the fact, testified that she did see this relationship between them and was pretty specific about the date in which she saw that their relationship became of a more personal nature. And then Mr. Wade came up, and then it was like she had been waiting for this. And when they finally called her up, and this was after lunch, it was crazy.
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
that's okay. That's all right. Just the, the planets. I don't know where
No, this was my
Mercury
plug.
is.
My,
Oh,
my plug came out and I didn't realize it.
that's funny. That's very funny.
Right. Astrology is fate and free will. This was all free will.
So you were talking about Rihanna.
I think Riri is feeling really, really good right now. She's got so much Pisces energy, but she does have that Aries moon. I
Mm,
am definitely concerned about ASAP Rocky and just kind of what these placements show for her because he does have a trial coming up.
mhm.
But I think that as far as Rihanna is going, she's feeling really good. I think she might go back into, well, we haven't even seen a whole bunch of her right now, anyways, with
Right.
the new baby, but I don't think we're going to be really seeing much of her for the next while, but that she's really feeling in a good place. So I'm happy for her. I love her. I'm so
I
proud of
am
her. I think she's
too.
probably a great mom too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I had an interesting discussion with a guy not too long ago. He was concerned about the fact that the second child's middle name is Rose and that the kid was wearing pink. And I was like, so
I mean,
what? What difference? And well, you just don't do that with boy babies. And I was like, boy, bye.
oh, come on. It's, you know what's funny? Because my two, even though they were further apart in age, I have a boy and a girl, the younger two.
uh,
And it's like you never had to, he would play house with his sister in
mhm,
dolls, but he would play with the G.I. Joe.
right.
And
Yeah.
but it's like they still want to do that. It's like, why do you kind of keep them from that? If you're doing something and all the girls are wearing pink, he'd be like, well, I want to wear pink. Like,
Right.
they don't associate that. I don't understand why we
It
do.
has nothing to do with their gender identity or sexuality. Nothing. Nothing.
Absolutely not. Like, huh? Like, why are we acting like that? And then we get upset when they don't want to show feelings and be sensitive and all this. Like, because
Right.
you wouldn't let them wear pink, okay?
Right. Right. Or fairy costume. It's
Or
like
any of that
yeah,
stuff. I'm just
yeah.
like, I had a great doctor. He would always say, "This is not the battle you want to have. There are going to be other battles.
Right.
This
Right.
isn't one."
Exactly. That's the truth. That
Just
is
let
the
him
truth.
do
You
that.
you pick your battles for sure. For
Right.
sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I'm
Rihanna is
excited for her.
number
So we
one.
also Erica Badu is a Pisces.
Oh
I love
yeah.
me some Miss Badu.
Yeah.
I think also she's in a really good place this year. Really, it's like when I look at it, I know she's got some more like her perfume lines and stuff like that are coming
Yeah.
back out. She's got a Pisces moon also. It feels like that. I know that she's an artist, but isn't she a doula also or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
She loves this, and I think that she should continue to do this. This is just really where it is for her. She might make more money with the actual art and touring and music
Mhm.
and stuff like that because she's got Venus and Capricorn and she still wants to make that money. But it
Mhm.
feels like she's just like an amazing doula and might need to start even teaching other women how to do this because I think this is something that's going to be coming a lot more popular.
Sure.
Home births and doulas and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Um,
Ellie,
that's good to know. Just in terms of because people do respond and identify a lot with her earthiness and that kind of earth mother presence that she
She
seems to
does
have.
have that real like mothery energy about her. I like her. And then that with the Pisces, that's the other thing too. It's a time of year where things can just feel hazy and delusional and you can't really
Hmm.
grasp it. And it's
Hmm.
like you kind of can't get your hand on her. You're like, what is this like, huh?
Yeah.
Even with all of them, even with Rihanna, I even feel like she's a little bit like, is she really that cool and great? Did she really do a whole Super Bowl performance pregnant?
Right, right.
Like,
And that's the way you're gonna tell us, right? You know.
right.
I thought she just not lost the baby weight. But I
Right, that's probably a safer thing to think anyways than is she
right.
pregnant? That can offend some people. I put
Exactly.
Simone Biles here next. I want to say this.
Oh,
I know I love her, and I looked at her and her husband's chart, and I really like them together.
good.
I think they are a great couple. I think their compatibility is really nice. If you just showed me those two charts, I would absolutely put them together. If I was Simone's astrologer, I would tell her that there's a time for her right now to be really private about some
Mhm.
things that some information she knows, maybe something contracts or something like that that she has coming up. Just because all this Pisces Aquarius season, she's also a Pisces rising. It's like in her house of privacy. So Simone, don't talk too much about things that you have going on, especially things, maybe even things with your partner, with
Right,
your husband. Like,
right.
just don't talk about that stuff too much. Learn to be a little bit more private. Pisces can be super trusting to
Mhm.
people. They just don't get it, that some people are untrustworthy. And so I would tell her she might want to like just be a little bit more mindful of that
Good for
and more
her.
cautious of
And I
that.
hope that she listens because I think that she is of a generation where everything is open. There's
Right.
nothing sacred, there's nothing private. And I think sometimes you just have to hold on to, and especially in relationships and
Absolutely.
between you and your partner, there's just some things you need to hold on to that's not everybody's business.
It's not. And because once people start saying things, then it gets into you. And Pisces is mutable water. It
Mm,
receives everything that everybody says. And even when her husband will think it's okay, she'll be up at night, like not able to sleep because of
right,
it. Pisces also rules dreams.
right.
So some Pisces may be feeling like they can't sleep or they're sleeping a lot right now. I just say let yourself,
Well,
but
she
get your
needs
other
to
stuff
rest
done,
'cause she's
Pisces.
got
Make
the
it look
Olympics coming up.
the what?
She's gotta rest because she's got the Olympics
Because she's
coming
got
up.
the Olympics coming up. She better rest. She better get back to herself. It's time. I think for Simone, it's time to cut people off and cut
Mm.
access off and get back to herself and the things that she's about to do.
Wow, that's really
Hmm.
cool. That's really great to hear. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. Do we have time for one more? Just a quick one. You have one more Pisces you
Well,
want
my
to?
family friend Shaquille O'Neal.
All right.
I love him. We're friends with him. He's a great, great guy. Yeah, he's also a Pisces. The funny thing, I'm like, he's a great guy. He's a family friend, but I feel like he's got a secret. He's got a Scorpio moon, so it's like, there's something, and then it's across from Saturn and Gemini. There's something he's not telling us. But if I was Shaquille's astrologer, just because where Mars is in his chart right now, I
Uh-huh.
would actually tell him to be mindful with how much work he's doing and how much he's moving. I
Oh.
know he just recently had hip surgery, so
Mm-hmm.
that's something he still wants to be careful of with Mars in Aquarius and where it is in his chart. He could get like re-injured or tripped up
Oh
from
no.
work and
Right.
too much stuff like overdoing at work. And he's
Right.
always working,
He's like a big
but
kid
and
too.
I would send him this. I say he's a family friend, but he does not always reply to text messages. But if I was his astrologer, I would tell him just to chill out, like, with that kind of thing. But this is based off of time of birth. Some of these things, because when you get the time of birth, you're able to be very specific with where planets and things like that are playing out.
Hmm.
Also, I think that for Shaquille, it's a good time to just practice his faith, whatever he does, pray, meditate, all of that.
Nice, nice. And I really hope for the best for his sons. I think the sons
Mhm.
of famous athletes like that really have a hard time, and I hope that his son's health is working out very well too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Someone
All right.
says, how does Miss Astrology keep all this in her head? Thank you so much, Dora. You know what it is? It's funny. It's you study, you study, you study, and then one day it just all clicks.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then from there, you're
Do
like,
you remember when
and
it
then you keep
clicked when
going.
the light went off for you? Do you remember when that happened?
Actually, for me, I've always been interested in astrology, but I joined some Black astrology groups,
Mhm.
and they were the best like teachers, if you will. And
Oh,
so,
nice.
and one of the things that actually made it make a lot more sense to me is to understand that we all have all 12 signs.
Hmm.
So we all have like a circle chart that has all the signs and all that. Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
And
let's
besides, when you
move.
love something, you just know everything about it.
That's true. That's true.
Hmm.
And if you and if it's one of those things you just develop an affinity for,
I just love
absolutely.
it so much. I can't help it.
How's the real estate biz, by the way?
Oh, it's doing good. And I do think real estate is going to pick back up. I think that I'm already, I said this last month, interest rates
Right.
are coming down. I think that we're going to see prices stabilize. I actually even think that we're going to see inflation come down a little bit because Jupiter still wants to bless us. It's in Taurus, in that sign of real estate, earth, food, all that stuff. So I think before it goes into Gemini, it's going to bring some of those prices down for us. So I
Nice.
think things
Nice.
will start looking good, but still remember to think locally, think your community, think
Right.
right there with you, start with you and your
Yeah.
family, and then kind of go from there. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move to trending topics and things that are going on. And this isn't local for most of us, but it was must see TV today. I must say, as I was saying earlier, that this particular trial is a diversion. This which they're trying to disqualify Fonnie Willis and take her off of the trial that she has worked so hard for,
Right.
and that is in the election interference case of Donald Trump in the state of Georgia. This is going to be a RICO case, and she has all of her ducks lined up, and people on the defense of was it 14 that are still remaining to go on trial, including Donald Trump. They're looking for anything to take her out, to damage her reputation, and perhaps, if not move this trial to someone else's district, to stop this trial from going forward altogether. And but I got to hand it to the judge. He's very even keeled.
Mhm.
And he one of the things that when he was first appointed to this case, they're like, oh, he doesn't have much experience. He hasn't been around for a very long time, but he is as as they would say, as cool as the other side of the pillow. And he just maintains. He doesn't let. And when um, there's one of the attorneys who was questioning the special prosecutor Wade and also DA Willis, she was trying to needle him and
Mhm.
all of this kind of stuff, and he wasn't having it. The judge wasn't having it, and like, I see where you're going, but let's get to it. Come on,
Right. I love that.
let's wrap this
Mhm.
up. And even with Fonnie Willis, she's like, look, I've been sitting there a long time. I've been waiting, and that's when I said, that's a lie. She
Right.
called it the way that she saw it. She said, you're trying to damage my whole impression that of that's going out. My reputation is going out
Right.
before this country, and you are doing damage and it could affect her life for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, when Wade was on the stand, and a lot of us were saying, "Oh my God, what is going on?" But she came back like a champion. It was almost like Muhammad Ali, like taking a beating. She was taking a beat and taking a beating from the questions and the answers that he was giving. But she came back, and I'm wondering what it's going to look like in the next session. But and a lot of people, and I said, you know what? At this point, before she came on, I was like, if this is an indication of how it's going to go, she needs to resign now.
Yeah.
Because for her good name, for her future, and she could be disbarred, not
And when I look at
disqualified.
it, and then you know me as the astrologer, when I look at her chart and I put it up against Donald Trump's chart, and
Hmm.
I know that we don't like to hear me say this, but Donald Trump has a very lucky birth chart.
Yeah.
He just was born under like lucky energy. And Sag moon is one of the most fortunate moons. And luckily I have one too. And I can
Hmm.
tell you, like, I've gotten away with some stuff I probably had no business getting away with. This is a true
Uh-huh.
story. So I do think that if I put those two charts together, because his sun and moon are opposite, and then he's a Gemini. In May, Jupiter, the planet that rules his moon, that's like blessings and abundance, goes into Gemini. So that's even more
Yes,
favor
that's his
for him.
sign. Yeah.
To where Fani is dealing with squares in her own chart or tense energy in her own chart. So somebody said she had receipts. She's got to pull as much information,
Yep.
like as she, I mean, and the bad part about it is, even as a Scorpio, it's like it. and Scorpios don't like to do this, but it may be putting other people under the bus
Right.
with things they know to save herself. And you're right. If she's not willing to do that, which is hard for Scorpio and Aquarius, her moon and her sun, because it's fixed, then she needs to bow out. But that's hard for her to do too.
Yeah, because pride is there, and it's
Yeah,
like you're not going to take me out like this. I'm going to fight for this.
right.
And even as she pointed out about Mr. Wade, he's a Southern gentleman.
Mm,
He's not going to put her under the bus.
right.
And they were talking about how the money was spent, and whether this money that she approved of for his position, his new position as a special prosecutor, whether any of that money was used for her. And he said they were very careful that
Right.
if he bought airplane tickets, if he bought cruise tickets, that she paid her part of the
Mhm.
trips, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, well, how come we? And she said, because she paid for with cash. And somebody laughed in the courtroom because I mean, it's like, so you
Who
got
pays for
no
cash?
receipts. Yeah. And she said, my daddy told me if you don't have 6 months worth of cash in your house,
Right.
you are in trouble, or you could find yourself
And I
in trouble.
absolutely believe that her daddy told her that because I believe that's something my daddy would have said too.
Right, right,
Yeah. So, but
exactly.
and here's the other thing: like, if a Scorpio's trying to be sneaky, you are not gonna find out what they're
Right,
doing.
right.
They are the
Sneaky,
sneakiest
yes,
sign of the
yes,
zodiac. Like, no, if she was covering her, like, if she knew that she was crossing the line, she did not tiptoe the line. I believe that she didn't, but I believe in order to prove that,
yeah.
she's gonna have to do some things that she probably does not feel okay with doing, expose some people, say some things that she knows that she's agreed to keep private. That's the only
Hmm.
way to save herself, or else bow out.
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's why
gonna
I
be
say she gotta
interesting.
say something, but
But
yeah,
but she's a pride, she's a proud woman,
absolutely.
but pride goeth before a fall. But it
Mm,
was the comeback today was sweet. It was
yeah, I
really
hope,
sweet
yeah. So
because the little Barbie that was the interrogating attorney, she all but flipped her blonde locks, and I was like, oh
oh
god.
my
And
gosh.
I have a thing about voices too, and she was like, so it was almost a Valley Girl tone to it, and so she was
Right.
not making any friends the way she was, trying to make him look like an idiot.
Mm,
And then when Attorney Willis got up there, it was like, mm-mm, no holds
right.
barred. Mm-mm. You
For
come,
her.
bring it, Barbie, bring it,
Right.
because I'm not the one. I'm not the toy that you play with today.
Right. I just hope she stays, and I think she will, but just stay, like, don't get emotional. And I don't
Right,
think she will, because even if a Scorpio is emotional, you're not going to know it.
right,
You're going to keep
right.
it to themselves. So I think that she will. I just, it's like, yes, this is her own trial that she's going up in
Mhm,
right now. So it's
mhm.
like, okay, this is going to be difficult. And again, if I was her astrologer, I'd be like, either you're going to tell, or you're gonna tuck tail and run.
Right,
Like
right.
you're gonna have to
And she
battle.
did.
It's gonna be one of those things, because you're right. It could be very long term, and with it being that Aquarius moon, it could change a lot for her. But then when you think about who she's ultimately trying to go against,
Mhm.
like, I don't
Yeah,
know. That's
yeah.
not, yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna
yeah, I
be.
don't know.
I think her story is not even anywhere near the end, and being told even, but
Right,
it's not near the end. And I can't wait to see what her next is, because she's a force.
right.
She's a
Oh
force,
yeah, and we're
and
gonna see more forces from Aquarius placement. She has an Aquarius moon. Cat Williams has an Aquarius moon. There's some
mm,
other people in politics that have Aquarius moons. We're gonna see them really. They are forces, and they're gonna start to step up. Then we'll get a little taste of them this now until November, the beginning of November. Then they'll really be in position next year.
wow, it's gonna be
Yeah.
really interesting. The one trial that we are going to see apparently start before too long, and that is the Trump hush money trial with Stormy Daniels. That whole thing with Michael Cohen,
Hmm.
and so they have set a trial date, a start date for March 25th.
Well,
Hmm.
we'll see. I don't know her birth. It's like, okay, let's see
Right,
who's going up
right.
against Donald Trump, because again, there may be some people that can, but he's not someone to like go up against.
Well, and that's what they're finding. And but she's like, and that's what the DA Willis was saying. You all are talking about all of this.
She's a
We are
Pisces too.
talking about a man corrupting an election, a
Right.
federal election. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. Pretty much is what she was saying. and we're getting, all bogged down in all of this. But they're like, by whatever means necessary. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah, she's a Pisces too. That's funny.
okay, Stormy
Yeah,
Daniels.
She's a Pisces. She
Interesting.
has Venus in Aquarius, so it feels like even. But this isn't anything where she can be paid off and hushed to go away or anything like that,
Right,
right?
right.
Right. So this
No,
is a little bit of
this
a
is the
toss up,
money.
but still with that Pisces moon, I think that she might not be as cooperative as we think that she's going to be on trial. And
Uh-huh.
she may start to say she doesn't remember, or they may start to speak to her that in ways that kind of confuse her a little bit. And she starts to chase her tail a little bit. So if I was her attorneys or if I was like consulting in this, we would be practicing right now,
Yeah.
every which way, like drilling her, getting it down packed, like what to say. And because she has Mercury in Aries, how to keep her cool and keep
Hmm.
her composure, because that'll start like letting the F bombs fly and
Right.
getting real aggressive and crying.
And that could turn the jury
None of that,
way. Yeah.
ma'am. None of
Yeah.
that. So keep it together, practice what you're going to say right now, and like take this serious, because again,
Right.
she's a Pisces and Saturn is in Pisces. Like, no, be for real. She's
Right.
going to have to take this very serious. Like, this isn't as easy as she thinks it's going to be.
So I know that we discussed some of the stories, and I just thought about this when you're talking about practice and how, and I was thinking about how the jury and the judges are going to take this. And the one thing that I forgot is tomorrow they're expecting a ruling from Judge Arthur Engoron in the trial in the case of the Trump businesses with the sister Attorney General, State Attorney
Wow.
General Letitia, and so. He's supposed to make the ruling tomorrow, whether he will keep his businesses or if he will be put out. He and his sons and Trump properties will be able to do business for the next 5 years or maybe even longer, and how this will all turn out for them. That's going to be a tell. And I think he should, if he's not, he should be nervous about all of this, because it's not only him, it's his sons and the Trump properties, including like Trump Tower and
Wow.
maybe even Mar-a-Lago. No, but this is New York State, so not
Right.
Mar-a-Lago, but all of, he was Mr. New York, and he built a
Mhm.
house of cards, and lied, according to the Attorney General, about his wealth,
Right.
and what that looked like for insurance companies and real estate businesses and things like that. So that's, even after today, people are going to be looking at this tomorrow.
You said that's tomorrow. It's so crazy because it's like, well, tomorrow the moon goes in Gemini and
Oh,
Donald
and
Trump
that's
is
his
a
time.
Gemini. So again, here we go with this.
Yeah.
It looks like that it possibly could be in his favor or not as bad as you
Mm.
would think it's going to be, or just something like that. I'm telling you, this man, I don't know. He just has a lot of favor. But honestly, if it was me, I'd probably be pulling tarot cards for that or looking, doing something a little bit more to get a little more
So
specific.
the interesting thing is that, because as you say, going into Gemini, but he has been nothing but really awful to this judge and to the legal consultant that the judge has there. She's the one that his supporters were going out, and they were giving her name and her email address and her
Wow.
cell phone numbers, and that awful threats and things like that made to the judge and to this young woman. And it's like, and it almost seems like with the state attorney general is like, well, we're asking for 370 million. And it's like the way he has treated this judge and his
Right.
staff is like, the judge, like, I'll give you double.
Right.
I don't even
Right.
know that he has $37 in his bank account, but if
Right.
you want whatever you want, I will give it to you.
We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
we'll
It'll be
see.
interesting.
Well, absolutely,
Mhm.
Steve. You're absolutely right. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. But take a look at this tomorrow. See if we get this decision from Judge Engoron, and also if the continuation of the case in Georgia. This is better than General Hospital. I don't even have to watch General. I don't even have to take like a lunch break this week to catch up with General Hospital. All I need is one episode, and I can pretty much. But this is like, it's fascinating to me.
This
It's
is more interesting. Yes, my mom would agree.
Yes, yes. And I know my mom is up in heaven going, that's my girl, because that is the kind of stuff, she would do during the Watergate years,
Right.
and that long hot summer of the Watergate hearing. So let's move to entertainment now. Usher is the man of the day,
I love
Sunday
him.
in Las Vegas, and now the man of the week. He obviously was the halftime sensation at the
Mhm.
Super Bowl. I enjoyed it. I didn't watch the game
Me
because
neither.
I'm still power to Colin Kaepernick, and that's why
Right.
was
Mhm.
in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. I was rooting for them. But Usher's week was capped off by a cover story on People magazine, which you may have gotten in the mail today or tomorrow. And in the interview, the Yeah singer revealed that he proposed to Chili, TLC's Chili, and that their split broke his heart. He said
Aw.
that and he's made this right after he met his
Got married.
soulmate. Right, right, right.
Oh.
So he said he really did love that girl, and he said that he just opened up and talked about how he loved her from when he was just a young kid, moving to Atlanta and becoming close to her, and was always, you know, held with
Mhm.
great love and esteem off to the side. And he said, and she said, when we were together, it was just something that just did not work.
Mhm.
And that, he proposed, she said no, and he was trying to make all of these accommodations, and
Aw.
it just didn't work. But that's what love is, and you live and you learn.
We don't
And
always get what we want,
exactly, thank you,
unfortunately.
thank you, Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger. Um, and so he talked about that. But, I think that he has a great story to share with young people
Mhm.
about, if as my mom used to say, that's why God made erasers. And so you move on, you don't,
Right,
you live in it, but then you move on. And he also talked about Tamika Foster, that people just were not feeling her, and
right.
whatever it was, but she gave him two beautiful kids, and for that he'll always be grateful.
Yes.
And
I
now
love
he's moved
Usher.
on. Yeah,
I was thinking about when he performed at the halftime show, and now he's about to go on tour. I'm like, I feel like he's been around as long as I've been around, and he
exactly.
still has
Yeah.
new songs coming out.
Yep,
And
yep.
the man roller skates. I
And
saw
like a pro.
like a pro. I said he's going to bring back the skate community.
Oh, for sure.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I saw him in Vegas, and he's coming on my birthday to Houston this year. So I'm definitely going to see him
Oh,
again.
how great is
We put 3
that?
shows in Houston, so we're really excited. Yeah, we're gonna
He
show him
just
a lot of
announced
love in
that,
the city.
right?
He's an excellent performer. I feel like
Yeah.
if you get the chance to see Usher perform, you should go see Usher perform. He's
Well,
amazing. I'm sure I'm gonna like Vegas better because I like the smaller venues. They're
mhm,
just more quaint. And when I saw
right.
Beyonce, it was just like it felt like
Whoa.
she was a bug way over there.
Yeah.
I felt like I could get to Usher. I told my friend, I think I could make it past security. She was like, I was like, he's
Have you
right
had some
there.
liquid
She's like,
courage when you
don't
made
do
that declaration?
yeah, I was like, "Oh my, are you sure?"
Well, I will tell you, Yolanda Starks White absolutely loves his new CD, his new music, and
It's
she
nice.
she compares it to Chocolate Factory.
Oh,
She
yeah.
said it's that kind of
Mhm,
infectious
it's
and
really nice.
addictive music to her. So,
Yeah, and
um,
there's some Prince vibes in it. Like it's a really I like it too. That's why I say when people say there's not good music out there, I'm like, well, what are you listening to? Because I'm
right,
listening to good music. There
right.
is good music. There are really good artists out there. That's another thing for Pisces season. Find those new artists. Pisces
Mm,
loves music and reading and any kind of escapism, including alcohol. So be careful of that.
mm,
But yeah, listen to that. There's good music out there to be listened to.
yeah,
Usher's is really good. I love him.
it's one of those. We were driving through Alaska when Chocolate Factory came out, and
Mhm.
just because she's one of those that plays it over and over and
Right.
over again, and now she's doing it with Usher, but she just really likes this
I'm
new
like that
music.
too.
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
can be like that
I
too.
can see that. Yeah. Let's close out with our jewel. Allow those who love you to support you in times of need. Allow those who love you to support you in times of need. So keep that in mind. Thank you for your jewel, Yolanda. And Ms. Astrology, always just
Thank
such a
you.
pleasure
Thank
to
you. It's
talk with
always
you and
fun.
spend
Thank
time
you
with
so
you.
much,
Yeah.
everyone. You guys have a good Pisces season. It starts on the 18th. Make sure you put some prayer on it, some faith, some belief that everything's gonna be good.
Okay.
It's gonna be good.
And happy birthday. I think her birthday is on the 18th, is Stephen Hill's songbird, Shantae Moore. So happy birthday
Oh,
to you. And we will see all you Pisceans as we get closer to what are we moving into? Is that
After Pisces,
Aries?
Aries season. After
Aries
that, it'll be
season.
spring. Yay, I get my spring color back. Hey, my winter color.
Bye, everybody. Take care. Aloha.